A great analogy that can easily be tied in with people is that every person can be described as a different book, each book containing a different story, and more often than not carrying vastly different rising actions and expositions. However, despite how our stories have started, as we go through them, many of our lives have been moved by other books and people alike. This project has been inspired by this very concept, the fact that all our lives are equally as complex as one another, and yet the stories I'll be highlighting have all been moved by one book, one person, one true God. These are the leaders of Navigators here at Ball State, and these are their stories. Hey, Peter.
Hey, Jojo.
If you feel anything under the table, my feet are just bare under this table, but the camera doesn't know that. I was wearing slides, and then I was just like, you know what? Let's do this conversation. Slides off.
Yeah, Jesus style.
Yeah, let the dog. No, he had Jerusalem 9000s. Dogs out style. So if you feel something, it's probably one of my toes.
Sounds good.
This is the Nav's Living Legacy Project, and I am here with Peter Sherfey.
I'm Peter Sherfey.
Now, after
part of the Nav's Living Legacy Project.
Now, after being married, he is now Peter Sherfey as well, and we're here to talk about motivation and work ethic.
Yeah.
Can you just give me a little overview of why is that important? Why is it something we should focus on? What could reap benefits?
I don't have a cut and dry answer to this question. I really struggled coming up with something to talk about in our discussion here today. But why we kind of landed on motivation and work ethic and discipline is just because in anything that I do, I like to do a lot of different things, and I try and do them to my best quality. And I find it sad when people aren't motivated or driven to accomplish big goals, and they sell themselves short. Because I think everybody has that opportunity if they take advantage of it. Like you can do a lot of big things in this life, and it saddens me how many people don't do big things. And I think a big part of doing big things is having that work ethic, that discipline, that drive to get it done.
All right. That's a great overview. And just letting you know, preface between back and forth in this interview, I'll definitely go back from focusing on the topic and just generally want to get to know you. Because at the end of the day, this is about getting to know who Peter Sherfey is.
All right.
So my first question has to deal with how have you grown in your faith? What is I get essentially this question is what is your testimony like?
Right.
If you're willing to answer.
Definitely. My testimony kind of starts back in middle school. I grew up in a Christian household, but didn't know God on a relational level. I went to church and learned about him, but I didn't know God until in middle school. My dad got a new job, and so we moved from Chicago to Columbus, Ohio. And in Columbus, Ohio, I didn't have any friends. I was all alone, pretty lonely. And in that time, I started praying more and reading my Bible more and felt God's presence and comfort with me. And so I would say that in that time of being lonely there in Ohio is when I really built my relationship with God and got to know God because God was there for me. And then in high school, I went to this Bible study that did not have games or snacks or any kind of fun frills or advertising. It was just we'd get together for an hour and read through a chapter of the Bible and ask questions and after Bible study. And it was profound to have a study that didn't have a lot of fluff. It was just to the content and really deep conversation. And then in college, I came to college and I started talking to other people about being a Christian. And that strengthened my faith a ton. I grew so much as I started talking to my friends. And I talked to almost all of my friends about my faith. And I read through the Bible with some of my friends. And that was some of the best stuff that grew me closer to God and made my relationship with God even stronger.
That is so cool. And now, obviously, there's different, I want to come back to a lot of what you just said, because I think there's such a great overlap between conversations and definitely with the way things are. But curious, if you were to
I want you, like, as for Peter Sherfey, define what is motivation and good work ethic for you. Like, what's that look like for you?
I think motivation and work ethic is just defined by setting a goal and actively taking steps to reach that goal in a timely and efficient manner to the best of your ability.
Mm-hmm. So good work. Well, how would you define motivation?
Motivation would be why you're reaching that goal.
Why?
Yeah. I mean, I could set a goal to find 100 flowers on Ball State's campus, but I'm not motivated to do that.
Yeah.
Because my why for that isn't very personal or emotionally connected to me. But if my goal is to double the size of nap nights, I really want to see people come out and grow closer to God. So then that's my goal, and my motivation is connected to why I want to do that. And I'm a lot more motivated to reach that goal.
More intertwined.
Yeah.
So, like, there is no such thing as a goal without a plan. You can't achieve that plan without good work ethic. And to move that work ethic along, you need motivation.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
Yeah.
Now, earlier you had mentioned that you had a really good point where you grew closer to God in that Bible study and coming to college. And I was just wondering, but why is it important to, like, surround yourself with people that are able to motivate you or encourage your work ethic to be healthy? What's the cost if you don't surround yourself with good people?
Yeah. Surrounding yourself with people that will push you to complete your goals is so important, because you are who your friends are. There's no way around it. I've actually had a hard time with that. But you want to surround yourself with friends who have the same goals as you and will push you to complete your goals, because they are what will affect you long term. So your 5 closest friends are who you're going to be in 5 years. So you can look at your 5 closest friends to determine what you're going to be like.
If you don't mind, who would you say your 5 closest friends are?
Well,
And make sure you with the causation listing that no one else is part of those 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to put names in the video because...
maybe describe about them. What makes them so, like, poignant to be like, I want them in my life because I know they inspire me.
Yeah. Each of these people are godly people who are focused on their relationship with God, and they are all extremely hard workers in different areas of life, whether it's academics or clubs or work, whatever. I'd say that's what sets them apart. People who aren't super driven and have a high work ethic, I have a hard time maintaining a long-term friendship with.
Why is that?
Because I have such high drive to accomplish different goals, and I think that those people that I hang out with, if they want to get that same drive, that's amazing. But I don't. I oftentimes get frustrated. So that's something that I've been working on, is my frustration. Frustration. Yeah. And
is frustration something that can really impede good work ethic, motivation?
Definitely. I think that any point or goal or effort that you are making, if you get frustrated or angry, immediately negates any work or point that you did. And so there's been some things that I've had some good points in a discussion, and then I'll get angry, and because I'm angry, those points are now negated, because people don't see what you said; they see how you made them feel. So if I got angry, then I made them feel bad,
responsible.
They might not be responsible for my anger,
but you make them feel responsible.
I don't try and make people feel responsible, but they feel like an awkward feeling of wow, that's not right. So
this is a personal question, but like, here's the deal. So, I don't take pride in this, but I definitely don't show my anger often.
Yeah.
But like, is there a benefit to anger? And if so, or if not, like, what is, like, at its core anger? What's the reason why it exists?
We talked about this in our Bible study like a couple of weeks ago, anger.
Funny how that works.
So I think that oftentimes anger is a sin when you act out of anger. If you're doing anything because you are angry that you wouldn't do otherwise, that's probably not a good thing. And getting angry over little things is often unnecessary. The Bible talks a lot about being slow to anger and such. So anger is most often a sinful thing, but it can be a good emotion. God has been angry at times in the Bible himself, and so we can see how that is good. But I think that is a difference when you're getting angry about yourself or you're getting angry about something being done to somebody else. And so if you're angry on somebody else's behalf, that is oftentimes much better than if you're angry about something that happened to you. And if you are letting that anger fuel you to help that person in that situation, that can be positive. But if you're making rash decisions only out of anger, that can still be a sin. So I'd say anger is a sticky situation. Sometimes it can be good, and it's a necessary emotion that humans have, but oftentimes we act out of sin in anger.
Yeah. I mean, anyways. What do you think is the cost? Like, I know it's a little off topic, but what is the cost of like someone who just lets this anger boil up inside of them? You know, I think it's really horrible to develop emotions, but like specifically anger is just something interesting to me because I definitely don't know if I've ever done it, but it's interesting to think about because like I definitely like I let it show, but like I don't let it act. You know what I mean? Because like there's just definitely been points where, especially in the Navigators, where I'm just like I can definitely like you can feel the steam come off of me, and I'm just like really heavy, deep thought and trying to just not be annoyed, despite things happening. You know?
Yeah.
I don't want to ever like let anger be to lead to hate. You know? Because like I know anger is just something that will just pass over. You know, it's something I can deal with. But what's like the costs of just letting anger brew, and how does it get away with like keeping that bubble tight, the people you want to hold around you? Like, how does it affect them?
I think anger can cause you to act in ways that you wouldn't want to normally act when you're in your normal frame of mind. And so God calls us to love God and love our neighbors. And that's like the greatest commandment. But when we're angry, oftentimes we do things not out of love. We do things out of spite for other people. And so if you're angry at someone and you act out of that anger, not in love, then you can say things that damages your relationships. You can damage physical things. You can close a lot of doors emotionally where someone won't open up to you about certain things anymore. So like there are a lot of things that you can damage if you act out of anger, not in love.
That respect.
I find it funny, like talking about this because like you're asking me these things and I have like good answers that sound amazing, but that I don't fully incorporate into my own life because I still struggle with this. So,
hey, when we talked about this. We were discussing on figuring out our core values in life. It's not about how well equipped you are in these core values. It's about how passionate are you willing to focus on them and let these be what you need to work on.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like our core values in life, they aren't representation of who we are. They're not representations of who we will be. They're just things we want to just surround, like know that in our hearts that these things we're passionate about. We want to focus on them.
Yeah.
Like, I remember like vulnerability was a big one for me. And then as I'm like having these conversations more and more, I'm just realizing that like I truthfully,
how hard that is.
yeah, I truthfully haven't been that vulnerable. Like main thing for me is that like I was talking with another navigator about this, but I always thought I was like, oh, I'm vulnerable. I have no shame in what I have for myself. But in reality, I did, because the only vulnerable topics I would talk about are just things I've already overcame. But like I never talked my present problems or my present considerations.
Yeah.
Ever since starting this conversation project, it's just like I realized I let a lot steam and boil and brew within me, and it's just like it's nice to let it like slowly come out and just be even more vulnerable, because like some things we're just naturally not good at, and like I thought I was good at, and I definitely took some pride in that, but we realized we faltered, and that doesn't change the fact that vulnerability will never still be a core value in my life, but like we work on what's important to us.
Yeah.
And so don't feel bad about that, Peter Sherfey. Let me put my therapy glasses. Let's talk about you, sir.
Therapy in front of a camera.
Yeah. Now, speaking of moving on from anger, just to more about motivation.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you could like plot out like some visual milestones or major points in your life where you needed motivation, good work ethic most, and it really paid off.
Yeah. The clearest, most recent example, I don't know if I'd say the clearest, but a very clear example would be with actuarial exams. I'll explain what that is really quickly. Lawyers have to take the bar. Actuaries have to take actuarial exams.
Lame.
So there's 10 of these exams, and they've got like a 40% pass percentage, which is very low. They're very difficult exams over a lot of math. And in your undergrad, if you get one exam, you might get a job. There's a chance. 2 exams, you're pretty much going to get a job. 3 exams, you're guaranteed a job. So most people shoot for 2 exams, and even if you have 1, you'll be all right. But freshman year, I decided like I was really going to take these exams hard and hit them running. And so is it going back to the surrounding yourself with friends who have the same goals as you and are motivated. I surrounded myself with 2 other guys who wanted to do these actuarial exams. And we would take one every 6 or 8 months. And within 3 years, I was able to pass 5 of the exams in my undergrad, which I could have gone for 6. I don't know, I wanted to spend more time with my wife and enjoy the last semester of my college career. And so I didn't go for 6, but there was time that I could have put towards that 6th exam. So that took a lot of motivation, many hours of just studying in a library, a lot of drive to do that. But the reason for it was just to succeed in my career and be done with them sooner. The sooner you finish them, the sooner you can do other things with your time.
Darn. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I guess this feeds, like I've been asking this question a lot lately in my conversation projects. And I guess I'll ask it a lot earlier now because I think it's a really good time to ask it. But knowing what you know about motivation, work ethic now, like what has it costed you? Was that cost worth it?
To pass those exams?
No, just like to know what you like, reap the benefits and know the meaning of true motivation, good work ethic. Is it worth everything? Because obviously, everything we come to learn, the greatest lessons in our life, they costed us something in one way, shape, or form.
Right.
To mature in that topic, to excel in that topic, costs a good deal, often much. Like, what was the cost for you? Was those things worth it?
I would say I costed a little bit of fun in college, but I would say it was definitely worth it because you need the lows to make the highs seem high. And so if you're always at the high, then it'll become normal. Mm-hmm. And so I just had just as much fun as any other person. Like the time studying in the library made the fun times doing all kinds of things around Ball State even more fun. So I would say that for the most part, I would say it's worth it to learn those lessons. You sacrifice some things, but you gain much more.
Well, it seems like, yeah, it's definitely worth it. I will say, even though I respect that decision, do I embody it? Who knows? But what do you have to say to people that are hesitant to embody that feeling of needing that motivation and work ethic?
Yeah.
Like you said, it costed you fun. Well, what do you say? What do you have to say to people that costed good motivation and good work ethic for fun? What do you have to say to those people?
Or even to the people who are like, what if I'm content with where I'm at?
Yeah.
And I don't want to.
The people that like to settle.
I am totally okay with people who are content with where they're at, as long as they're in like a healthy state. If they're in a healthy state, it's totally okay for them to be content with where they're at. And that, like, some people's goal in life is to complete school with just going through classes and passing, and then getting a job and working and enjoying their weekends and evenings with their family and friends, which is great. And I think that provides a lot of satisfaction for a lot of people. But like, a lot of my goals have to do with like leadership outside of that, or leadership in work, which requires a lot more drive. So I would not say that there's a problem with any of those people who just desire that simpler life. Like, that is so necessary, and I'm so glad that they are finding enjoyment in that. But people who are in an unhealthy state and are okay with it, or people who want to progress in life but aren't taking the steps to achieve that, is where it gets tough, because they aren't gonna, I don't think that their outcome is gonna be as positive.
Yeah. Now, what was it like? What was life like before you had the work ethic and motivation you have today? Was it unfulfilling? Was it interesting? Was it fun?
I think I've always had a high intensity in whatever I do, but it hasn't been as much motivation. I used to apply my time to things that I don't value as much anymore. High school athletics is something that I applied a lot of time to, that I learned after the fact is just not worth much time or effort. At that moment in time, high school athletics seems so important. Everybody invests a lot of time and money into succeeding at high school athletics. Then you graduate high school and realize that everybody did that and nobody cares. And so that used to be my big thing. But I'd say now I try and focus my time on things that are more unique, that other people aren't necessarily doing as much. And I try and focus my time on things that will benefit me more than high school athletics. Because that's just one example, but there's many that everybody's doing it and it doesn't do a lot for you. And so I've tried to channel my motivation towards better things.
Now, that is interesting. Now, I think this is a question I can uniquely ask you. Okay. Because life is great with a happy wife.
Yes.
Happy life, happy wife, vice versa. Not going to repeat it. What's it like to adapt, like, to incorporate obviously your motivation, that probably remains unchanged. But what's it like to like adapt a work ethic and like the consistency of who you are with like a life partner?
Right.
Like, obviously there has to be a compromise, stuff to talk about. There's conversations to be had. And I was just wondering if you could just give a little more insight about like, how has that changed before and after realizing you found the love of your life and stuff like that?
Right. It definitely does take work to balance two people's goals and ambitions in life, because when you're single and you're thinking about where you want to go or what you want to do in life, the possibilities are limitless of where you could go and what you can do. But once you're connected with a life partner, you have to think about somebody else before yourself. But there's the benefits of having a life partner in just that, like, there's so much more joy and excitement in life, and like life is much more exciting and stuff. So yeah, it's really valuable, but it isn't easy. And so it requires a lot of learning. Something that I've had to like take into my own life was asking a simple question of like, hey, is it cool if I go and do this before doing it? Oftentimes I'd say, tomorrow I'm going to do this. Is that okay? And that doesn't go over as well as saying, is it okay if tomorrow I go and do this? And asking the question first just gives more respect to your life partner. And so
brings them honor.
Yeah. And so I would say that my motivation hasn't changed in getting married. I want to do just as much or more.
If anything, it's increased because she's always challenging you to be a better person.
Right. But in that motivation, then there requires more. Sorry. In that motivation, it requires more work to balance that with somebody else's life's goals and desires.
That's what. You have a charming smile, my friend. Now, obviously, coming with actually having the patience and waiting for the right person. What do you think is the effect on, again, work ethic and motivation if someone prioritizes that? Like, is it I feel like it can often be a negative thing to just set aside your goals and like worry about this type of search for who you're trying to find, especially at a younger age. What do you have to say to those people, or do you have any advice for those people that are like maybe putting a little too much time into like trying to find a life partner rather than figuring out who they are?
I think two things is that I don't have a lot of thoughts or advice for people searching for a life partner.
That's fine.
Everyone's different in how they do that and
1000%.
how that goes about. But I think for the most part, if you go about your life, you will run into other people and you'll end up being attached to those people. And so you don't necessarily need to like search out that person. I understand that you do need to, what's the word? We go after someone.
Chase?
Not they kind of chase, but like
pursue.
Yeah, you need to pursue. You do need to pursue someone when you find them and stuff, but I don't think that there's like much need to make that your primary goal. Just by going throughout life, you will end up finding someone. It was a dangerous conversation there because like Rachel is literally so amazing for me, and like
tell me about her.
Yeah, I mean, she helps me grow, and it's very exciting and fun. Like she made her apartment look so nice, and I've never had an apartment look that good. Somewhere where I want to hang out, and it's fun to hang out there with her. And so life with her has been like so amazing, but I didn't want that to get taken out of context and make it sound like that isn't true.
I'll clip that and send it to her too. Thanks. No worries. My pleasure. Now, my pleasure. It's not copyrighted anyone, so nope. I can say this. As well as this word. I'm kidding. We'll never discuss what I was about to say unless we were in another lifetime. Anyways, now, like obviously, the bigger question I have to ask is, how does your faith play a role in all the grand scheme of things? Like,
I think faith does play a big role of every area of my life. With like my wife, like culture has shifted things to be self-centered as opposed to focusing on the other person. So like my faith has, I'm not perfect at this, but my faith has made it to where I try and think of Rachel before myself in every situation, regardless and I think culture would say there are some ifs, ands, and buts, but I try and not have any ifs, ands, and buts to that. So that's like one way in my marriage that faith has affected me, and like motivation and work ethic. God like gives us a meaning in life. It gives me something to live for. Without eternal purpose, I mean, we just all live our lives and die, and life would move on without us, which is pretty bleak. But God has given me motivation with giving us eternal purpose.
I did have a sub-question to ask before, but I want to hold on to that. Eternal purpose, God giving us eternal purpose. Selfishly, this is again something I'm trying to answer. Like, how do you just let that in? How do you just let God just give you eternal purpose? Because there's obviously the free will to just walk away. Like, how do you but like, once you're right at the door and you say, I want this, how do you just let that in?
Are you talking about salvation or just like your life path?
Both.
Yeah, I think...
I'll be strong with you. I swear if you answer like one or the other, I bet like it'll probably overlap a lot.
Yeah. Like, salvation, I think, is so key. God like cares about our eternity forever, and so we have to choose where we want to spend our eternity, whether we want to hang out with God or not. And so that's just a matter of like understanding where we are and how we, as sinners, and what we communicate to God and our admitting our sin and believing in Him and committing to a life with Him. But in terms of life purpose, like, I don't know much about God's life purpose for me. I don't think anybody really does. Sometimes you can get a calling that you should go in this area or that do this thing for that person or whatever that calling is. But like my entire life plan, I don't know what God has laid out for me. But I'm not worried about it. I'm just going to keep on going. And when doors open, I'll go through them. And when God closes doors, I'll stop going through them. So we'll just see where God takes me in life purpose there.
Motivation to let go. What is like that? Like, obviously, there's so many people that are probably going against that feeling of just truthfully letting go of everything that we hold dear, earthly things, the things we need to unlearn. What's your thought about that? Like, why should we have the motivation to just let go of all shackles and shame and sin and leave everything behind?
I think the motivation is more fulfilling life. Living in regret and sin is just not beneficial to you. I forget if it was Mark Rober or Mr. Beast. I think it was Mark Rober on YouTube who sent out this game, and it was like a free game. Anybody could play it, but you had to put in your email, and then the game would get emailed to you. And half of people, when they were playing this game, just got unlimited lives to attempt this game as much times as they wanted. The other half of people kept track of how many times they failed, like third attempt, fourth attempt, fifth attempt. And the people who were just shown how many attempts they had taken quit sooner. So by being shown how many times they had failed this game, they quit the game a lot sooner than the people who had unlimited attempts and were not shown how many times they had tried this game. And I think the same is true in our lives with forgiveness of shame, in that if we live in our sin and shame that God has already taken from us, we are going to want to quit more. We are going to want to give up and genuinely feel bad about ourselves. But by trusting that God doesn't see us in that way, He sees us as perfect, and He doesn't still care about that sin in our lives because He's already taken that away from us. We are so much more free to do what we want and succeed farther. Just like in the game, they succeeded more. In real life, I think we will succeed more.
Wow. That's coming from the same guy that dropped his butt in front of me as winning. Anyways, that is such a profound word. And you were worried about not having things to say.
You got some good questions here.
Hey, it's my job. It's my job to be thirsty.
to find the eternal thirst,
Yeah.
the eternal water. But this would be a sucky project if I did like the reason why this project is so good, at least for me, is because I firmly believe in the idea you should ask the people closest to you in your life, or just strangers in general, the questions you're trying to answer. Because why not?
Yeah.
To learn a new perspective and learn more.
So true.
And we're so worried about having the hard conversations, showing people that we are not as further along as we come off to be. So many people come up to me and ask if I'm what grade are you? And they ask are you junior or sophomore. I've never got a senior yet. I probably don't look the part. But people asking that I'm older, I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm charismatic, but at the end of the day, I just want these questions answered. And that's probably a little greedy part, a gluttonous part of me. But knowing that there's people here that have 3 years makes a huge difference. In terms of maturity.
3 years at college. It's huge.
And people of different walks of life, people that have been through debatably a lot more worse than I have, or a lot better. We still have perspective stories to be told. And if you get to know these stories or want to thirst for them, see how they thirst for God, I just think something beautiful will come out of it.
Yeah. There's this book that I really like called Great Leaders Ask Good Questions. That's exactly what you're doing, asking good questions. So,
bro, don't say that. I don't want to be leader.
It is funny that you say that you get asked for your sophomore or junior or whatever. If you had a beard, you'd be all set. Freshman year, I had a beard. Everyone. I'm not everyone.
I don't want to deal with that.
No. Beard makes people think you're older, so people could think you're a senior.
Good leaders don't ask good questions. I'm just an Asian guy that everyone knows. Anyways.
Whatever.
From the back, I look like Javi Barrera, all right? So I might be Cat Major Joanos. Sorry. I'm going to clip that and show that to Javi during his interview.
Yeah.
That was good. You are fantastic, my friend.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Okay, so faith does play a role in work ethic. Now, I do, this was an interesting question for me. I don't know, if it really has anything to apply. It might be a little off topic.
Okay.
But, what do you think about, the feeling when sometimes we can all accidentally fall in this rut. I've definitely faltered to it. But how does our life, and I guess for this topic, how do those things change if we make our faith feel more like a checklist than a passion, or something we should hunger, or something we should just absorb and let happen?
Yeah, I want to try and find this quote very quickly. I don't know who said this, but my friend texted me this. Motivation is temporary. Inspiration is forever. Find something to be inspired by. And I think making your faith a checklist is motivating, is just being motivated about it for a day or two. If you're motivated to finish your checklist and complete whatever faith tasks you want to complete that day, that is temporary. If you're motivated to get a spiritual high, that's something temporary that faith tasks might be able to give you for a while. But inspiration is forever. And so if you're inspired by the love of God to be loving to other people, and you want to learn more about that in His Word, that is forever. And so being inspired by the Bible and God and His love for people, I think helps to not make faith a checklist, because if it is a checklist and you're motivated for something temporary, it's going to fall apart. So you need to be inspired, not motivated by the faith.
Dang. So I'm in the middle of this, I'm just going to cut the motivation part and just be it's actually not motivation, it's inspiration.
Yeah, that really should be.
Are we changing it now?
Yep, it's not motivation.
It's not. It's inspiration and work ethic.
Yes.
Get fooled. April Fools. It's March 1st. This is March 1st, but imagine it was done on April 1st. It's actually inspiration. Pow! Get bamboozled. You were fooled. I'll probably change the
That could be your clickbait. It'd be motivation X.
Psych. Stop sign. With inspiration, right where the numbers are.
Oh, yeah, so
you keep it. It's just inspiration.
I gotta click on the video now.
The word stick a little bit now.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I don't know if I'll actually make thumbnails or something like that.
Huh.
But interesting. All right. Okay. All right. Now this is more. It's another personal question. So like, this is something how like yeah. There's just questions I'm trying to answer. But when obviously you have this overflow energy, like with the source of like having that eternal water and having that motivation, work ethic, like obviously I think we're called to serve in a way. Like what's your way of bringing that to others, like showing people that you can have this overflowing river of water?
My way of like serving people or showing that to other people?
Both. If you ever give me an and question, like both answers would seem like a good answer, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't have a great answer to this question.
Maybe have some questions that are provoked by it. How should we serve?
How should we serve? I think just being motivated to help other people is how we should serve, I guess.
We're called to multiply.
Yeah. Spiritually.
I was going to make a joke. Yeah, spiritually for sure. All right.
Yeah, man.
How can prayer enhance this feeling of inspiration and work ethic? How does that play a role?
I thought this question was going to be coming. I had an answer prepared for this. From a worldly standpoint, I think people meditate and journal and spend time on themselves, even if they don't care about God. Every like successful person does that. They have their meditation time and their time to plan out their day and their personal reflection time, whether it's the start of the day or the end of the day. And that is so valuable. And so I think that prayer, to an extent, is some of that. So I think if you we're not thinking about conversing with God, just the value of personal reflection and clarifying your thoughts and getting that out onto a page or out of your mind in a ordered fashion that is alone is so valuable to you, which is why non-Christians kind of replicate prayer in a non-faith-based way. But prayer is even more beneficial to that because God actually has power to do things in our life. By praying about things, we can make that more of a reality in our lives, but God can do so insurmountably more than we can. I don't know what insurmountably means, but I hope it fits there. So,
sure, no.
Yeah.
I'll pull up the definition right here.
Okay, that's insurmountably. But God can do so much more in our lives through comforting us and helping us. John 15:7, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. So, bring your cares and your what you want to do to God. Bring that to God. 1 Peter 5:7, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. That is the best therapist possible, is to talk to God about that. And so prayer is so beneficial for your mental health, for reaching your goals, clarifying your thoughts. God will help you in all of those areas and will be there for you and help you grow. So, yeah, I think prayer is so important to inspiration.
You just wink at me? Why?
Because I didn't say motivation. I said inspiration.
Okay. I was having different messages. I was after the camera? Really? Okay. Anyways, we're coming to a close. I have the last couple of statements before we end off this beautiful project. Yeah. But again, lastly, what is the greatest impediment
of letting inspiration and good work ethic into your lives? What's the biggest blockage for people of our age or in general in this world? Like, what is that biggest block? The thing we should probably avoid that we don't realize sometimes, maybe. Who knows?
When people's subconscious order of values is different than what they want or say their order of values is. I'll give an example of this. For people who want to succeed really highly in school, and like that's what they tell all their friends, that's what they say that they really want to do, is do really well in school, but subconsciously their personal order of values is friendship and / fun comes first. And so if their subconscious number one personal value is friendships and fun, any time that a fun experience or an experience with friends comes up, they're probably going to put that above their schoolwork. And they're going to end up feeling discouraged that they say their number one goal is academics, but they aren't prioritizing that. And that's like struggling and failing. And so you can learn what your subconscious order of values is based off of your actions. If you're always going and hanging out with your friends, you know that that is your number one priority. And even if you say academics is, then it just isn't, because that's not what you're doing. Your actions define reality. And so you need to either take actions to make what you say your number one priority to actually be your number one priority, or realize what your subconscious number one priority is and be okay with that. And like, but if you are trying to accomplish one goal, but your subconscious number one priority is something else, you won't be able to do that. So you need to really hone in on what your goals and what inspires you and what gives you motivation is, and make actions that turn that goal into a reality.
Now, as we're coming further to a close, great way to end off. But obviously, this path we've been given, the one we're blessed with, the way you've grown up today, there's definitely been people that have impacted it greatly. Obviously, as you say, we're the mosaic of the 5 closest friends in our lives. You didn't say mosaic, but I've heard that quote before. I need to say mosaic. But if you wouldn't mind, on camera, if you're willing, would you want to call one of those people that made a big impact in your life and just remind them that they did that?
I'd probably rather do that off camera.
Hey, no worries.
Yeah. Is that the end?
No, hold on.
Okay, I guess.
Let me finish.
Okay,
like
Gojo.
A good host. No worries, Peter. You're not the first to decline, but you won't be the last. I'm kidding.
All right.
I don't know why I said it like that. But my last thing I usually ask is, are there any good resources just to further deep dive in this? Like, even though there's obviously going to be things we haven't covered or we can't dig deeper on, because our minds can only contain so much. So if there's just anything that motivates you, that's a really good resource to just dig deeper on this, where should we guide people to go?
Yeah. I would guide people to the Bible. That's always good. Mm-hmm. Proverbs has a lot on not being lazy and accomplishing a lot of your goals. So Proverbs is really good. The Bible has a lot of quality things. I would also say, if you want just one little nugget that you can accomplish in like one day, I would read the first habit of 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. If you really take that one habit to heart, it's one chapter of this book. It's called 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. And the first chapter is really amazing. So I would recommend reading that chapter. But overall, there's a lot of books out there. 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, Atomic Habits is something that I want to read. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Great Leaders Ask Good Questions are all really good books.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I know that one.
Yeah, that one's kind of cliche. That one's more finance instead of motivation and inspiration. But
greatest topics come from more niche ones. Why not?
Yeah, that book might not be applicable to everyone.
No worries.
Yeah.
Well, this is the Navs.
I got a question for you. What would be your like dream career if like you didn't have to worry about money or like any, like if you could do whatever you want regardless of situation? So maybe like yours is like to play in the NFL.
No.
Okay, but like you see how that is very difficult, and so you might have like
if I had to choose one goal or one job,
one career, like regardless, going to space, like
I could pursue in the rest of my life and do that for the rest of my life. What would it be?
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy. I've actually thought about this, but like this is a very unreachable place, at least in my mind. I love to serve, but I never liked the idea of fame and like those people that are just like, obviously people have worked to where they have gotten. It's just like sometimes I think the way they've done it is just like not the way I would want to do it. And I said, if there was a way, how would I go about it? And 3 people come to mind. Mark Rober, not Mark Roper, Mark Rober.
The YouTuber?
The YouTuber, the NASA engineer, Hank, and John Green.
Yeah.
The reason why I like those 3 so much is because they've really honed in the idea that there is an issue with our culture, whether in terms of education, and in terms of pushing like change. Because I think the reason why I want to approach my project the way I'm doing for like the grant I'm applying for is because the reason why I'm approaching it and why it seems so like well thought out is because you have to be able, like they all 3 seen the same thing, is that people are less willing to learn, people want change but they're not willing to work for it, and people expect things just to happen because like the feeling of that someone else will do it for me. Those 3 realized that and honed in on it crucially. John and Hank Green and Mark Rober both use social media platforms as a tool and not as just something as for fun.
Yeah.
Because they know a big portion of the community that we need to reach to, people that want to serve, that want to help, are reached through social media, and they're using it the right way.
Yeah.
And like I learned so much about Hank Green with this something called an Awesome Socks Club, where he's trying to fully raise money in I can't remember the country, but he's trying to raise money to do a whole like revolutionization of a country to be able to have proper medical care. But when you think about it, how does a charity actually work? Do you just throw money at the problem and it'll be fixed? No. He's really thought out the bigger, deeper meanings of how to do that.
Wow.
And he's not only he's trying to raise like billions of dollars for this. He's trying to build the hospitals, but also build organizations to train people to work in these hospitals. Because you can't just have buildings, like who's gonna work them? It'll just grow and crumble. And he's seen constant charities where they do the project and they don't like see it to the end and just like make sure it's fully self-productive and functional. Yeah. John Green just has a passion. John Green, the author one. He also like grew his platform based off like a crash course and realizing that there's such a vitality for kids to have like attention spans in the classroom, and that's why Crash Course was such a appealing for a lot of teachers. Like he made it because he knew these classes are going harder and harder as kids are going less and less more attentive to want to learn. And that's why he brings the fun, the energy, the animations, just because it appeals to the younger audience, and it works. It really works. Because at the end of the day, like I was one of those high schoolers that complains like, oh, this teacher sucks. He's just going to pull up in a crash course. But then like I'm seeing this crash course actually help me learn, memorize things. Like it's working. And he made that for teachers that are struggling and trying to work harder on that. And I don't know if you about this. This is a cool thing for college students. But he's doing something called Study Hall, which is it's in collaboration with YouTube and Arizona State University, that people of all ages can apply for courses through Arizona State University, and it only costs $25 up front. And as soon as you work to get the grade you want, you can pay for that credit hour. Wow. And then obviously it's through ASU, but like since it's Arizona State University, it's that credit hour is probably transferable among all the colleges. So like just by taking the extra time and going at your pace, kind of at your pace, but going at the way you feel online at all different ages, except for like youngers, of course, but they're able to like increase and further their opportunity by having that there. Because also realizing that the opportunities, there's so many people that don't use their degree for anything, because people like when we're here on campus, we're focusing in on our time on the majors and wasting our time we end up changing them, right?
Yeah.
But like for him, like the way the study hall is set up is that you can explore every single major, see what it offers, see what it doesn't offers, and like that's what this program is about.
And then you only pay for the courses you want to keep.
If you want to, yeah. And if you don't, it only costs you $25.
Yeah.
And lastly, Mark Rober, he's just like always constantly making a change. He makes 12 videos a year, and like a good chunk of them are devoted to focusing on like really good projects, charities that are really trying to make a difference, but like using his platform to really focus on them. And at the same time, incorporating that want of educational factor into his videos, because he realizes that our attention spans will not give attention to something that like we borderline sucks.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm a little disheartened about. But at the same time, like I fall for that all the time. There's probably so many good causes that I could support that I just don't give any attention, because like, let's be honest, like the advertisements suck.
Yeah.
Like the clip art of the logo is just gross or something.
Yeah.
Like I want to be those people. The people that probably took a long time to explain, but like I want to be the people that are like, I grow famous because my inspiration or my aspirations inspire.
Yeah.
Not because I'm a great actor, not because I'm just a great magician. I want to be known for like, I want to inspire people to make a change, because it is possible.
Yeah.
But I want to be known for also like overcoming all trials and expectations to succeed.
Yeah.
Because you've seen how John and Hank and Mark Rober has such a presence.
Yeah.
And there was probably a long time where that was very thankless.
Yeah.
Where they were doing nothing and not getting any benefits.
Yeah.
Having that motivation and work ethic and knowing that what you're doing is right, and I know it will pay off. Or like I trust it'll pay off. Having that faith of letting go, knowing that like I'm costing this right now, but it'll pay off.
Yeah. So
Those who I aspire to be. Like it doesn't help with a job sense, but like I want to be like them.
Yeah.
Where my job is to inspire, or where my job is to overcome all expectations so that we can live in a better future.
Yeah. That's really powerful.
That or a drug dealer, because like, a legal drug dealer, a pharmacist. Yeah.
Yes.
But
no.
Like I haven't really told anyone that, because like I aspire to do so little. Like this is like, aside from that, there's if there aren't limitations, but this is if there are limitations. At the end of the day, I just want to be a great father to my children. Mm-hmm. And then after they've already grown up, I kick them, have emptiness syndrome, all the works. I want to be a father to the fatherless. Okay.
That's amazing.
Nah.
Time to wrap it up.
This has been the Navs Living Legacy Project. And this has been my conversation with Peter Sherfey.
And this has been my conversation with Tojo.
And this is us signing out another Navs Living Legacy Project.
Till next time.
Adios.